What's up? It's your girl Kia, and I am back to do another reaction of the Surviving R. Kelly docuseries on Lifetime. And again, this is not a recap, this is a reaction. So I did 1 and 2 previously, so now I'm going to do 3, 4, 5, and 6. And that's why I'm only doing a reaction and not a recap. When you watch the first 2, you kind of think, what else can be said that hasn't already been said? I mean, this has already been so much information. What else are they going to say? And they had a ton more to say. They go into the second part, the second grouping, that's 3 and 4. And now they're talking about the trial and all the ins and outs is going through with the trial and how people really didn't seem to care. And that's really how it boils down to. Dave Chappelle, I remember the I Want to Piss on You thing from his show. That was funny. I definitely remember the Boondocks episode with, Huey kind of getting up and saying, not every person, not every black man is Nelson Mandela. You love R. Kelly? Let's get some help for R. Kelly. Introduce him to some older women. I remember that whole thing. But I didn't realize that during this entire time while the trial was going on, I didn't realize there was a 6-year gap. Like, he got accused and then it just kind of faded away. And then they had the trial and there was like this huge gap. Legally, marketing-wise, publicist-wise, it made sense why he kept delaying, because having a 14 or 15-year-old girl on the stand looks a lot worse than having a grown woman on the stand, possibly wearing makeup, wearing a dress, having boobs, and seeing how, well, she probably didn't look young, maybe they didn't know. It made sense. I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying it made sense to put in a grown woman onto the stand. The problem that I have is with the black community. He went from getting accused, posting bond, to then finding his embrace and warmth inside of the black church with civil rights leaders and different people. And maybe this is why a lot of us didn't realize how big the gap was between the trial and the accusation, because nothing stopped. People kept buying his music. He was still going on tour. He was still being interviewed. Everything, it's almost like nothing changed. And these were serious accusations. I mean, he was on a video peeing on a 13-year-old girl, mouth open, the whole thing, a full-on graphic porn, and he was embraced by the black church. And I know as black people, we really cherish our icons because we don't have a ton of them. We don't have a ton of people who have made as far as an R. Kelly or a Jay-Z or an Oprah, so on and so forth. We don't have a ton of those people. So I feel like a lot of people wanted to protect R. Kelly because he belongs to us. He is our icon. You guys cannot tarnish him. But it wasn't white people trying to tarnish him, and that's what it turned into. It seems like people thought that white people are trying to bring him down, or people who are jealous, when it wasn't. He was harming his own community and girls in his own community. He's harming us, black women. And instead of picking the side of saying we need to cherish our black girls and value our black women and protect our black women, it was, no, he's an icon, they're lying, they're making up these stories, throw them to the wolves, to the trash, and we'll protect him. The girl he was in the sex tape with, the younger one, didn't testify. She said it wasn't her, even though her white best friend, even though her coach, even though everybody had known the girl said it was her aunt, she said it wasn't her, and then her father got on the stand and said that it wasn't her. And that, to me, is demonstrably just awful. Your own father watched you in this tape and said it wasn't you. Your father knows who you are. As a parent, I can't imagine. I'm a parent. I can't imagine having something like this happen to my child and then let the person get off. And I guess the father is a guitar player for R. Kelly, still is to this day. The son apparently is the drummer for her. His name is Styx. So they're still in the music business. The girl is still, according to the next part we'll talk about, is still hanging out with R. Kelly. So no one cared. He was acquitted. He was shocked. Everybody was shocked. And everybody keeps moving. Nothing changes. So here's a little bit of a side note I want to bring up. I was on Twitter, and everybody kept saying, like, oh, they're only doing this to R. Kelly. They only want to bring R. Kelly down. What about all the rest of these white people who haven't gotten brought down? That's not really true. Perfect example. Everybody remember Jerry Sandusky, the Penn State coach who had accusations of child molestation? They got Jerry Sandusky the fuck out of here very quickly. It wasn't like it took years and years and years. It was very quickly. He had an accusation come out. They investigated the accusations. 2 months later, he was arrested. Maybe a year later, he was on trial and got 98 years or something. And it had repercussions for people who tried to protect him. His foundation was dismantled. Those people got in trouble and even caused, I believe, the death of Joe Pa. The coach of Penn State, who had been the coach for years and years and years. I feel it caused his death because he died almost in disgrace, had this great legacy and died in disgrace. Harvey Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein has lost everything, and he's also been indicted. Kevin Spacey recently got indicted for sexual assault and sexual misconduct. There's a couple other people who are white, but who have gotten in, or who are now, it's coming to light, and people are getting rid of them. They're putting them on trial. They're putting them away. But this is in the white community. The black community has just held on to R. Kelly so tightly, even with proof. There was a videotape. There was actual proof. In these other cases, it's the women's own word, and we're going with their word. But in the case of R. Kelly, there's a videotape, and that didn't even matter. And black people, even after the trial, kept saying, oh, well, he got off. He must not have done it. You know, girls are there still wanting to be with him and saying those girls are liars. I'm R. Kelly's #1 fan. So enter Jerhonda Pace. Jerhonda Pace, oh, back up for a second. R. Kelly's ex-wife. A lot of people are on the fence about Andrea Kelly. I am on the fence about Andrea Kelly as well, not going to lie. And not because she wasn't abused, because I believe she absolutely was abused, but I think it's odd. And not even that she kept her last name. A lot of people are like, well, why did you keep your last name? The same reason why a lot of women who get divorced with kids keep their last name. My mom got divorced from my father. She kept his last name because she had 2 kids with that last name and wanted us all to have the same last name. My husband's mother the same exact way. She had a poor marriage. Her marriage was not good. She left her husband but kept the last name because her sons had the same last name. So that part makes sense. What doesn't make sense to me is that Andrea Kelly has capitalized on being R. Kelly's ex-wife. She had that show, Hollywood Exes, and she talked about how her life was great and it was this and that. And she made little hints like, well, it wasn't all like everybody thought it was, or wasn't all it seemed, but I loved him. So she kind of made it seem like things might have been bad, but they weren't that bad. I mean, we had a good life. We had money. We had this and that. We had success. And then she started capitalizing on the name with the show. She's Andrea Kelly. So I think a lot of people, it's hard for them to reconcile the Andrea Kelly now to the Andrea Kelly that was getting abused. But she gave her story, and I believe her. I believe everything she said. It all sounds plausible, especially going with the behavior he had with all the people around him, what they would do for him, this and that. So that all makes sense. And abuse is systematic. It's not just all of a sudden someone starts hitting you and punching you in the face. It starts off small, and then it gets bigger, and by the time it gets big, you're locked in, and you don't know what to do. And then you start to blame yourself and feel like, well, I'm so stupid. I fell for this. I fell for that. I don't want anybody to know I was this dumb. So I'm just going to stay. Maybe it'll get better, but it's better than people finding out I was stupid. But anyway, so Jerhonda Pace was a young woman who went to his trial and was his super fan and really wanted to meet him and be in his world. And that's exactly what she got. And it's hard for a lot of people to, you know, be on her side. She makes it hard. Because you sat in the trial. You sat in the trial and still thought those girls were lying. And then you became one of those girls. Now you're getting starved for 3 days at a time because you did something wrong. Now you're not allowed to call people. Now you're secretly texting somebody else. Now you're running and getting girls for him. And she started to bring girls in for him. Enter the story of Dominique. A lot of people are like, well, why did Jerhonda go get girls for him? Easy. She's being abused. It's a mental cage that she's in. It turns into a little bit of Stockholm syndrome. So you want to make your abuser happy so he won't hit you or hurt you or harm you. So you do whatever you need to do. He said, go get you a girl. Go get me a girl. She went and got him a girl. Very simple. It's self-preservation. And I don't blame her for that. I blame her for not opening her eyes during the trial and really hearing what was going on. That's fine. So now we go into episodes 5 and 6. This is more focused on the cult atmosphere that he has now and how the girls got there and their parents. And this is where I really just got annoyed and pissed off. These parents, I don't want to say they sold their daughters for fame, but these parents did whatever it took for their children to be famous, if that makes sense. All but one. So I don't even know where to start. Let's go with Dominique's mom. Dominique's mom was a good mom. She's a single mom. Her and her daughter were living together. They were both going to school together. Her for medical coding and billing, her daughter for dental assistant. She had gotten her daughter away from R. Kelly, said, R. Kelly, don't ever call my daughter ever again. Stay away. Finally, Dominique admitted that she had still been seeing R. Kelly and that she wanted to go move in with him to Atlanta. And at this time, her daughter was grown, so there's really not a lot she can do. So she said, you know what, I don't want to lose you, so you can go. And then she lost contact with her daughter. Then you have the Clearys, excuse me, not the Clearys, the Savages, whose daughter Joycelyn was a singer. They introduced her to R. Kelly, but had a little rule where, you know, you can only be around R. Kelly around us. The same as the Clearys. They're the next one who said the same thing. You can only be around R. Kelly for us. And that's where the rub is, people. If your child or your daughter, if you are saying you can't be around this person without us, that means you already had reservations. You already had a problem. There was something in the back of your mind, something in your intuition that said something's wrong, which means your daughter shouldn't have been around him regardless if you guys were around. And they both parents did the same thing. We saw the trial. We heard about the trial, but he got acquitted, so it must have been okay. No. That's what you say when someone gets accused of burglary maybe, or of, I don't know, something else, not of child molestation where there's a videotape. That's different. There's a tape. So you all just said it was okay. So they took, both parents had taken their daughters to a concert where they got to meet him or whatever. It was all fine. They were there. Next thing they know, their daughters are making decisions on their own to see R. Kelly. Now their daughters are gone. They try to get a hold of their children. They can't. They try to reach out to other people and they can't. And they just lose their children. The Cleary situation is a little weirder for me because their daughter went on her own one day and they freaked out, left work and everything, went. It was like, what are you doing? Pulled her out, embarrassed her. The daughter's all mad that she got embarrassed. And then they said, well, we don't want her meeting one-on-one, but we're okay with her having like a representative from the label with her at all times. Are y'all stupid? Are y'all insane? He has a myriad of people around him who are protecting him and doing whatever he wants them to do. So why wouldn't someone from the label do what he wants them to do? Meaning keep your daughter away. Why would you think having, I don't get that. Why would you think a representative that works for him would have your best interest in mind? Not his. They don't care about you. They care about their client. They'll do whatever it takes for the client, not the parents. So she now goes with R. Kelly. She's in Chicago. She's at the studio. They send their daughter, Isis. By the way, these names, Azulur, and I'm done with these names. I can't. I can't with these names. Anyway, they send their daughter, and their daughter goes with her to check on her. She's the older sister, and she's kind of seeing things, and she's getting uncomfortable. And she's like, okay, this is weird, but I'm going to get something to eat. And the daughter says, the other daughter, the one who's with R. Kelly, says, well, no, you have to call first. And that girl said what every girl would say, I'm not calling somebody to ask if I can or cannot eat. I'm going to go get something to eat. And she's like, no, just go ask. Just go ask. And she's telling her no. So she goes and comes back and realizes something's wrong at some point and tries to pull her sister out. She pulls her sister on one side. R. Kelly's pulling on the other side. It ends up being this big back and forth tug of war where the girl ends up staying. And security pulls the older sister out, roughs her up a little bit, and drops her off in the alley behind a McDonald's. And the girl goes home and never tells her parents because she's in fear that her sister's going to get hurt or that R. Kelly's team is going to come and hurt her family. That all makes sense why she didn't say anything. By the time 2 months later the family finds out because they can't get a hold of their daughter, they haven't talked to her, haven't seen her, she finally admits it, and then it becomes a more drastic situation of we need to get our daughter out. Joycelyn, with her parents, she ends up going on TV, on TMZ, on this really weird, what looks like a hostage video, to be honest, saying, oh no, I'm fine, people are just making things up, everything's okay, it's no big deal. But it looks like a hostage video. It doesn't look like someone's doing it because they want to. it looks like she's being told exactly what to say. But they drop it. Then there's another video on TMZ of Dominique and Joycelyn standing next to each other. Michelle, Dominique's mom, sees it and barely recognizes her daughter. This girl was a skinny black tomboy, but had nice dark hair, beautiful features, wear a little bit of makeup, was a little jazzy. Now the TMZ video, she looks like a boy. She's got a short haircut with blonde hair on the top. She's wearing boy clothes. She's got tattoos everywhere. And she looks terrified in that TMZ video. She's not looking at the camera. She's looking over her shoulder. She won't make eye contact with the camera. She's kind of looking at Joycelyn, but it's always over her shoulder, behind Joycelyn, over here, almost to see who's watching them. Michelle sees that and immediately is like, okay, I need to go I want to see my daughter. I want to find my daughter. She's coming to LA anyway to get the production together. She sees her daughter. Great. And then someone calls the police and says that that's not her mom and that she's this and she's that and she's asked to leave. But in the end, she finally ends up getting her daughter. Her daughter ends up going back, which again is a case of Stockholm Syndrome, where even though you're free, you still feel mentally trapped with somebody else. And you feel like you have to go back to them because nothing is ever going to be happy. You're never going to make it. You're going to be depressed and sad without that person. So her daughter goes back. But she does come back again, and that's why it's been an off and on situation. So let's talk about the older women that got involved with R. Kelly. I forgot one of the girls' name, but one of the ones that I knew is Kitty Jones. Kitty Jones is a grown-ass woman. She's 33. Well, she was 33 when she met R. Kelly. She's probably 36 or 37 now. But she's grown, good and grown. Grown enough to know the tape, to have seen it, to heard all the rumors. And she said that she did not believe them. So once again, the black community embracing R. Kelly and telling those girls, we don't give a shit about you, you all are liars. And that just breaks my heart that our own community doesn't even value us. Black women don't value other black women to say, well, I believe her. And she starts a relationship with him. Even after everything, she starts a relationship with him. And one of her homegirls, like any of us homegirls would say, yo, you heard about this tape? She watches the tape and breaks down because she realizes the girl in the tape that's getting peed on is a girl she had met 3 weeks earlier. And instead of staying her ass there, she still goes. And she ends up in the same world as everybody else. The second woman, 35, was a super fan of R. Kelly, did the same thing. She didn't believe the girls. She started dating R. Kelly and ended up in the same situation. And both of these women left. And that's just so sad that nobody values black women, not even black women. And I don't even know what it would need to take at this point. You are hearing these stories of all these women, and even on social media, a lot of these guys, a lot of these people don't believe them. Oh, they're liars. Oh, well, they was grown. They went it because they wanted to. So just because you want to go somewhere at first doesn't mean you want to stay there. Doesn't mean you want to stay in that situation, and doesn't mean you want to stay in that cycle of abuse. You know? And they have radio personalities now saying how they don't play R. Kelly's music anymore, and he has lost a lot of money. He has had things canceled because it just seems very toxic. Even if some of these stories are lies, not all of them can be lies. And that's the part that I don't think R. Kelly understands. You may think a couple of these girls are lying, but everybody's not lying. And I said this in the first video I did. Everybody cannot be lying. These two newer, older women, they can't be lying about the stuff that you did, about being starved for days, about being hit and slapped and beat up in cars. They all can't be lying. I also feel like in the black community, we need to start taking sexual abuse way more seriously. When I got to college, there were a lot of people, females in my life, who talked about their stories of being abused and how they told their parents, and their parents didn't believe them. And they just suffered in silence. And as in the black community, we need to stop doing that. When kids come up and say, somebody's touching me and hurting me, we need to believe them the first time and let the chips fall where they may. We can't just let people hide, because then it festers and turns into something else. And then those women who were abused as children are more likely to be abused as adults, or in the men's case, some of them are more likely to become abusers. And that's not okay. Another thing that needs to get changed, in my opinion, and there needs to be some real law enforcement conversations is the statute of limitations on sexual assault in the United States, well, in most states, is 15 years after reporting, or 15 years after you turned 18, whichever comes first. So if you were a minor, it happened when you were 10, you have 15 years after you turn 18 to then bring that person to justice. We don't need to have a statute of limitations on sexual assault, because the scars of sexual assault last a lifetime. So why can't the punishment last a lifetime? It needs to be completely illegal for a man who has, or a woman who has committed sexual assault, sexual harassment, to be able to pay somebody out of court some secret settlement so that it doesn't go to court and they don't have any criminal charges brought against them. That needs to be also brought up on a conspiracy charge. You can't, this shouldn't not be okay. He shouldn't be allowed to pay, $100 for marrying a child, $1,000 for giving somebody mono and also abusing them. He shouldn't be able to give somebody, well, $100,000 if you say it was you, or $250,000 to say anything. This is more systematic abuse, basically saying you're not worth anything. You're only worth $250,000 for your voice. You're only worth $100. So here's the $250. Be quiet. Go away. And that's crazy. You know, R. Kelly has kept trying to redeem himself with music. He came out with, you know, Step in the Name of Love to show he's a family guy and he's all about the black family and the reunion songs. And he sang I Look to You at Whitney Houston's funeral, and he was re-embraced again. There is no more re-embracing you, R. Kelly. You're done. We don't want you. You don't represent black excellence. You don't represent black people. You don't represent black men. You are not a black man. You are a boy who is still traumatized and acting out that trauma on anybody else he can think of. So this video is running long, but I just wanted to talk about my thoughts. Oh, on another note, it was interesting watching this with my husband, who isn't black. He is Guyanese. Well, he's Indian, West Indian. And hearing his thoughts about it just kind of made me more sad. Because he thinks a lot of these women are stupid. It was saying, like, Guyanese girls, Indian girls, they would never be allowed to go off with a grown man no matter what it was. Like, we would never do this. This is not something we do. And even if they came back and said it, we would believe them. And then more girls going, like, none of this makes any sense, because culturally, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't. Black people, we all knew this, and we still let these girls go. And by we, I mean, when all of this came out, no one said anything. No one made a big deal out of it. His own team is protecting him. No one cares. So I'm all for Mute R. Kelly. I am all for the Me Too movement. This docuseries was completely great. It was very well done. It kept me enthralled. I actually have it on the TV right now because I was in the middle of cleaning. I just wanted to, you know, catch some parts that I maybe have missed. But yeah, let's see where this goes. Hopefully there's going to be some real change. Hopefully we can get R. Kelly the fuck out of here. And this nightmare can end for the girls he still has in his possession. Because he has girls in his possession. So that's it for this video. I might do a recap for Iyanla, because there was a really cool episode that I saw the other day that I might do a recap on. But I don't know. But enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And I'll talk to you later.